Welcome to the Spiritually Embodied Leader Podcast. I'm Cynthia Gutierrez, the creator of Embodied Freedom, and I love to help conscious, heart-centered, spirit-led entrepreneurs learn how to regulate their nervous system and move through an embodied transformation so they can start and grow their online business with confidence, authenticity, and aliveness for more meaningful income and a deeper impact. On this podcast, we're going to be talking about how embodiment, mindset, subconscious mind, cyclical living, returning to nature, ritual, and ceremony can all play a powerful role in revolutionizing you and your business from the inside out. Now let's get into it. Hi, welcome to the second season of the Spiritually Embodied Leader Podcast. I am so stoked to finally be here. Honestly, it feels like a fucking miracle. Many different pieces of this puzzle have had to come together, and this podcast has been on my heart for at least 9 months, and I just didn't know when it would actually happen and if it was even going to be possible. So just being able to stand here and share with you updates, this new direction that I'm heading in, and embarking on this new journey with you, and I'm just so excited to share all that has really helped me, truly deeply supported me in my entrepreneurial journey and my motherhood and just myself and who I am walking through this earth school. And so thank you for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm just so excited to connect with you, and hopefully continue the conversations in the DMs and get to know each other and see how I can continue to support you even more. So yeah, this is basically like a reintroduction, not just of myself and this podcast and my business, but just in the direction that we're going to be heading in. And it's been so wild to look back, especially since the last episode that I had published on this podcast, which was May 15th, 2023. So it's been over 14 months now. Okay, I'm recording it on the 17th of July, 2024. So yeah, all of the major life updates. On a personal level, it's been monumental, okay? Ever since the last episode that I had published of season 1, I had become a single mom, and I ended my relationship of 7 years with the father of my child. And that was quite an experience, and I didn't know what to expect, really. It's just the biggest breakup of my life, and it was a lot harder than I ever thought it would be. And just going through the motions of grieving, detaching, and releasing, and cutting cords, and learning how to forgive, and also learning how to witness each other walk different paths. You know what I mean? Fortunately, we are co-parenting really well together, so thank goodness for that. I'm actually really proud of us for the most part. Of course, we're learning from our mistakes. I know I am, so I'll speak for myself there. But yeah, it's been quite a journey. And even though it's been really hard and I don't really wish it upon anyone, I'm still really proud of myself and who I've become and all of the healing that has happened, and also the fucking scars that I am left with, because it was definitely a battle, not just with my ex, but also within myself. It was a huge, I had been through several shamanic ego deaths, and not just me, but my business, my life, my motherhood, everything. And so, yeah, became a single mom, right? That was actually summer solstice of 2023, June 20th, exactly. And then come August, I had started homeschooling for the first time. And so that was really wild because I'm the first generation in my family to homeschool. And so I have no point of reference, okay? I did not know anything. There was only one family that is their daughter is the best friend of my daughter. And so they were homeschoolers, and that's how I started my path of homeschooling, and in terms of the charter homeschool program that I decided to do and all of this stuff. And so now we're actually going in a different direction. We're still homeschooling, but I'm actually putting her in classes in more of a schedule that is very similar to a public education. And so, yeah, that has been wild, a lot harder than I ever thought it would be. And mostly because I was a single mom. And then come November, I, needed to start working so that I could pay my rent and my bills and all of that, because I had been a stay-at-home mom for 6 years. So learning how to do that, being a single, working and homeschooling mom, and man, very, very, very dysregulated nervous system, very much in survival mode, just exhausted, drained, triggered, and just at my wit's end a lot of the time. And even though, yes, it was really fucking hard, at the same time, I learned so much, and the broader sense of freedom, and like learning more about my daughter and us spending more time together. And yeah, there has been some really beautiful, just eye-opening experiences through it all. So I'm really glad to say that in the past few months, I've really started to find my groove again in terms of like having a stable job that can actually sustain me and my lifestyle. I had to go through a couple of different options and realizing that like I just really need to be able to work for myself and adjust my schedule because it shifts like week to week. And so, yeah, it's like, man, I finally have enough oxygen in the tank to be able to relax, get out of survival mode, take care of myself, and find the time to build my online business. And so eventually that has led me here to be a lot more resourceful. And I truly believe with all of the decisions that I've been making and the intentions that I've been holding and the visions that I've just been like playing in my mind, I'm like, yay, like all of the resources and the people, places, and things have been coming together. And it just feels really, really exciting because alongside, figuring out how to sustain myself as a single mom and getting through homeschool and really dialing it in, because now I'm not going to be teaching my daughter. I'm going to have her go to an enrichment center and have other people teach her, even though I'm going to be like the homeschool manager. Throughout this year of becoming a single mom and figuring out how to homeschool and also getting a job that would best fit my lifestyle, I always had my heart set on an online business. Like that has just been without a doubt. Yet it took a lot of different shapes. Before I started to shift my niche, I knew that like it just wasn't it. I wasn't nailing it on the head, and I'm like, man, like I was already living in my new place, and I was like, okay, I think there was a time, I was like launching something and it was just too much. I was basically like using the launch to distract myself. So I had to cancel everything. I had to take like a month away. And as I was getting back online, I was just like, you know what? Like I was trying to go for it, but things just, it wasn't it. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to step away. But I had this really strong intention. I had this like come to Jesus moment. I was like, all right, Spirit, like, if this online business is really meant for me, guide me to the next best thing. Like, what am I supposed to focus on? What is the direction that I'm going in? And for some reason, it led me to affiliate marketing, okay? And it felt really spot on at the time. And then eventually it led me to digital marketing, and specifically the master resale rights side of the online business world. Which I had never heard of in the 5 years that I have been studying online business. And so I was just like, this is interesting. And, as a single working homeschooling mom, I really loved the idea of selling done-for-you products or selling other people's, like as an affiliate, selling their products. And so I was like, yeah, and I went for it. But the clarity that I really needed here was my passion and interest in entrepreneurship itself. And so I then shifted from helping conscious moms to then helping conscious entrepreneurs. And it was that pivot of like, oh, it's actually these heart-centered, spirit-led entrepreneurs that are so deeply connected to their soul, and having the entrepreneur like lifestyle be connected as like a higher path, you know what I mean? And just being able to serve this group of people, I was like, oh my God, that's so fucking exciting, because I love being in the room with all of them. I love connecting with them. I love helping them. I love talking with them, sharing with them. And so that felt super aligned. But as I started continuing down the whole master resale rights and the private label rights, if you don't know what I'm talking about, we can talk about it in the DMs or whatever. I'm not throwing any shade on that whole side of online business. And I'm really, really happy for people that have found success in it. Yet I realized more and more as time went on that it wasn't for me. And it wasn't what lit me up. It wasn't what my soul was like wanting to do and felt really deeply called to do. So eventually I was like, you know what? I'm going to drop the business model of selling done for you products. I'm going to go back to doing my own thing of like what I truly feel is the magic and medicine that I'm here to share people, but I'm going to do it for a different target audience, the who in which I'm going to be serving. And that really finally nailed it for me. As far as right now, it's like, I have been going through this big, huge transformational metamorphosis. And so I feel like, this is where I'm letting myself fly. And it feels really, really good. So the more that I clarified who it is I help and how I serve them, I was just like, oh my God, okay, this is it. And I got back into a couple of very specific programs that I've been in. And it just feels so good to have gotten really clear on helping conscious, heart-centered, soul-led entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs learn how to regulate their nervous system and move through a spiritually embodied transformation so that they can start and grow their online business with confidence, with authenticity, and with aliveness for a more meaningful income and a deeper impact. Yeah, because it really is all about who you be in all that you do that is going to have that ripple effect, whether it's with the money that you make, whether it's the people that you impact, whether it's in your life, in your relationships, everything and everywhere. And so that is really the direction in which this podcast is now intended for. Yeah, I am here to support you as a conscious, heart-centered, spirit-led entrepreneur who is ready to evolve in your business, in your life, and in your deeper purpose. And my wish is to do it in a way that is holistic, in a way that really brings together and integrates the body, the mind, and the spirit as a whole. And to do it in a way that is intuitive, that is in alignment with your higher self, that is guided by your soul, by your spirit, in a way that is supportive and sustainable to your intuition. And to me, my intuition, I believe all intuition is channeled through our bodies. And so the more that we're able to get in touch with our body, to connect with our body, and to better treat our body and come into a better relationship with our body, the more intuitive that we become. And to also do this in a way that is in service to the highest and best good, always and forever. Because when I bring in this intention of the highest and best good, it's like this not only helps me have more faith in the best that's yet to come, but also with the challenges and the medicine that might be bitter, that all of that is also in service to the highest and best good, no matter how hard it can get. It's like, oh, this is actually in service to me and to the collective. Within this podcast, I'm going to be really diving deep into what has revolutionized myself as a person, my life as a whole, and my business. Okay, so the big thing for me is embodiment, with an emphasis on body, okay? Because I know embodiment is a very popular catchphrasey thing, and sometimes some people might skim the body, but I get really, really, really practical and deeply connected to the body. And so my embodiment experience and deep dive has really started since I was young. And I think I probably, in earlier episodes in season 1, I'm sure I share, my whole history in terms of how my embodied wisdom came about. And it really started when I was in a performing arts elementary school. And it was through dance. So I did traditional styles of dance through elementary school and middle school and high school. And then I declared dance as my major. And once I got into university, that's when it really got deeper into various somatic modalities and movement in general. Yeah. So it wasn't just about technique of dances. It was more about the movement and the development of the human body, and how that then is transferred into dance. So, and it's just kind of fluid back and forth. And one thing I really want to be transparent here is that even though I identify as a dancer, I currently am not training in dance. I'm not taking any dance classes. So I'm a bit out of touch with that. Yet I still have an intention, kind of like this podcast. I have this inkling, a little whisper of dance and movement getting back into my business. Because right now it's very revolved around coaching and other things that we're about to talk about. But yeah, I'm really excited for that coming into the mix. But yeah, dance and movement being an embodied practice and how that can support you on your entrepreneurial journey. And so in addition to dance and movement, also trauma awareness. Holy moly, like, if we're going to talk about the body, we have to talk about trauma. Yeah. And shout out to my former mentor, Mark Walsh of Embodied Unlimited, because he really helped bring that in. I'm surprised actually that in my university studies of dance and embodiment, that trauma was not talked about. And I would love to I'm going to put out in a little intention, a little sign to the universe that may that conversation come together for me to share with my professor, because yeah, it's so essential. It really is. I think trauma awareness should be integrated within our education system, within the medical field, fucking everywhere. It really, really is critical in learning how to just be better humans. You know what I mean? And get back in touch with our humanness and also with our hearts and how to heal each other and better understand each other. So anyway, yeah, definitely be talking about trauma awareness here on the podcast, as well as nervous system regulation. Yes. Because it wasn't until I learned about trauma that I would then learn how to regulate my nervous system. And my God, that really saved me. It really, really did. Okay. Because dance was my main regulation practice all throughout my childhood and early adulthood. But once I became a mom, holy shit, I was having panic attacks. I had postpartum depression. I mean, it was bad. I was very unhappy and I really didn't know how to help myself. And thankfully, I got inspired to start my own business and learning how to become a leader in my own life. That was really beautiful. But then it led me into being okay, but how do I start to unpack and heal and rewire the old trauma responses that shows up everywhere, and especially as an entrepreneur, and learning how to grow beyond that. Yeah. It's once you are able to equip yourself with better tools to regulate your nervous system and process emotions and yada, yada, you have more choices. Yeah. It literally gives you more freedom. And that's what I'm all about. I think actually in season 1, my business was called Embodied Ritual, and it's not Embodied Ritual anymore. If you haven't noticed yet, it is now Embodied Freedom. And my gosh, I'm not ready to dive into that particular title as of right now, but freedom has become my deeper why as to why I do everything in my life. So anyway, we can talk about that on a different podcast. So yes, embodiment in terms of dance and movement, which is my happy place, and trauma awareness, as well as nervous system regulation. And another topic that we'll be diving deep into is mindset. Yeah. And to me, mindset is more of the conscious mind. It's more of what we are aware of and what we can control moment to moment. Yeah. And reflect back on, blah, blah, blah. But it's a very conscious experience and way of going about our lives. But in addition to mindset, that's like one side of the coin, we're also going to be focusing on the subconscious mind, okay? And that's like the 90%, all right? That's like, if you look at an iceberg, that is the entire submerged area, okay? And I mean, the subconscious mind literally creates 95% of our reality. And to me, the body is an extension. It's like the physical manifestation of our subconscious mind. And we can work both ways, not just top to bottom in terms of from mind to body, but also from body to mind, and how that can kind of weave together and support one another. Yeah. Super excited to just dive deeper on that. Another topic we'll definitely be talking about is cyclical living. Okay. So cyclical living in terms of, I mean, as a female right now, that comes to my mind immediately is getting to know my menstrual cycle. Yeah, if you're a person who bleeds, knowing the different phases of the menstrual cycle, and, you know, not just, like the hormones that are affected by the menstrual cycle, and the correlations between the menstrual cycle and the cycles of the moon, as well as the cycles of the earth and the seasons, as well as the cycle of a day, in relation to other cycles that are not divided into 4 phases, like the menstrual, the moon, and the earth, but also the way in which a creative process happens too. So in terms of, like, let's say you're creating a piece of art, you get an idea of that art piece, and then you gather all the things that you needed and you start creating it, and then it's done. Right? And then maybe you're in the process of letting it go or just putting it on the wall, and then you're done. And then it's that emptiness, the void of nothingness, until again, a new inspiration comes, right? And it could be something as simple as like a light switch, right? So right now my light is off. If I were to press it on, that's one phase. The light is on, that's another phase. Turning off, that's one phase, and it being off. Yeah. So if you're listening to the podcast, I am doing like a video podcast, so you can watch the video on YouTube if you're not aware that this is also shared to my YouTube channel. The links will all be, of course, in the show notes, so you can find it there if you're interested in ever watching the video of it. So yes, cyclical living and how to also bring that into business. Holy shit, especially if you're a person who bleeds. This has become a huge game changer, especially in terms of how I manage my projects and run my entire business. Okay, another topic is returning to nature, which is very much like synonymous to cyclical living, yet especially when it comes to like regulating our nervous systems, like doing natural things to help ourselves, whether it's spending more time in nature and grounding ourselves. Using nature as a resource, or I love using solfeggio frequencies as a resource. I also utilize essential oils and herbs as teas and different things like that has just been so helpful for me coming back to my body. And, you know, as earthlings, we are literally of nature. We are nature. And so not only learning how to manage myself on a energetic level in terms of like how much energy I have, but also how to take care of myself with natural things. And the final point I definitely want to touch on is ritual and ceremony. Having sacred practices and different things that we can do to get back in touch with our spirit and with God or universe or source, however you see the one who created you and all that is. I just feel like initiations and having some kind of spiritual practice has really helped me get to where I am today, and it's going to help me for the rest of my life. It's like I've seen some shit, right? I've been through some things, and there's like, once you see something, you can't unsee it. Once I feel something, I can't unfeel it. And really diving deep into my spiritual journey has been one of the best things that I am so grateful for having experienced in this lifetime. And I know I've had a very deep spiritual path in other lifetimes. I'm just so excited that I can now cherish it in this lifetime and be able to share with you what has been helpful for me and be able to celebrate it with ritual and ceremonies and how you can incorporate it into your everyday life and into your business as well. Yeah. Woo! So yes, those are the main topics that we're going to be talking a lot about on this podcast in terms of embodiment and everything that entails, mindset and the subconscious mind, cyclical living, returning to nature, ritual and ceremony. Yeah, as well as like recommendations and insights on other products and services or events that I feel like would be really supportive and complementary to all of this for you and your business and life, of course. So yeah, I am just so stoked. Thank you so much for tuning in and welcome to season 2. I am so freaking excited, and may this podcast be a place of growth, healing, and empowerment for you, for the collective, and for myself included. And if you ever want to reach out and connect with me, you can find me on Instagram at embodiedfreedom.biz, as well as like TikTok and YouTube and Facebook and all of that. I have a website as well that you can go to. All of that is going to be linked down in the show notes. But yeah, send me a DM on Instagram specifically. That's where I spend the most time in, okay? Yay! Okay, I will catch you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. May this podcast continue to activate the spiritually embodied leader within you. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to take a screenshot, share it on your stories, and tag me at embodiedfreedom.biz. If you'd like to express your appreciation, please rate the show and leave a review on iTunes. I'm looking forward to connecting again soon. Take care.